And welcome back, everyone. Well, go ahead and let loose.
We're serious.
No, well, wait a minute. Did you hear about the new study? It's published in this month's edition of a Neuro Report. It sort of gives you the go-ahead to swear when you're in pain.
I mean, we're on cable. We can swear a little bit, right?
I don't like to.
You don't? What?
I really don't.
But what would Ms. Manners say about this research? We wanted to get to the bottom of the study, so we asked Dr. Ziegler from Advanced Health Center to come and tell us why we swear when we're in pain. Well, I know why. It's fun. It releases tension, and everybody does it, right?
And you're correct. Actually, I've been doing it for a very long time, for thousands of years, which we thought at one time was kind of taboo to actually swear. We're finding actually really good research saying swearing's good, and it's actually a response to pain.
How? Explain that a little bit.
Okay, well, I can tell you a little bit about the study. It was done in England. It was done what we call this cold hand press, or you put your hand in cold water, and you'd see how long you could leave it in there. The people who were cursing were able to actually leave their hand in water longer.
So they feel like they're releasing this pain by cussing.
Right. Well, we're talking about the brain. We're going to talk about the central nervous system. Okay, so that's which makes this really kind of cool, because we're talking about the brain, and most people don't realize it's the brain that's controlling everything.
It's really a physiological thing that's going on in there,
right.
Isn't it?
So we're going to talk a little bit about this, what we call fight and flight mechanism. So the brain has a component called the autonomic nervous system, all right? And there's a sympathetic and parasympathetic, kind of going back to high school. The sympathetic response is what we call that fight-flight mechanism, right? And you would get into this tension mode. Cursing, they're finding, helps release some of that. It would also increase your heart rate.
Okay, I have to question, because I got to jump in here. Why do we have to use obscene and foul and offensive words? Why can't we shout like poppycock or some fiddly-goop or something?
Well, you know, and the study talks about really more of a taboo types of words. You know, they've gave the students words to choose, and so it was based on words that they felt were a little more taboo.
So if you feel like it's forbidden, so to speak, or frowned upon, you get more of a release.
You get an outlet of that component. But you can only say those words for so long before it doesn't have the same effect.
I disagree.
Now, wait, okay, and you also mentioned that there's a difference between men and women in this.
Right, correct. The study actually showed there was a difference, and women's perception of pain was different than men. And we monitored it by the heart rate, so which made that really cool, so you could actually see if the heart rate was actually going through this fight and flight mechanism.
And for women, our heart rate is increasing more than a man's when we're shouting these profanities.
Correct.
We're going through more.
So is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it's definitely an outlet. And here we go again. It's a sense of letting this component out, because it's our brain. We're dealing with tracking mechanisms in the brain. So how the brain perceives this information. So these neurotransmitters are sending impulses, right? And now we're having outlets to get this impulse out. So at Advanced Health Center, we see people with all types of pain. You know, and it's a way to get rid of it. We can do painkillers, you know, and cursing was a nice outlet for it. But there's treatment options.
I was going to say, do you encourage people to swear?
You know, when somebody hits their toe on a cabinet or something, a lot of times they will blurt out something, and that's a nice outlet for the pain. Those synapses are then triggered, and then we have that cursing component, which helps an outlet of it. If the damage is more severe, we sometimes put a pain blocker in to help that synapses, so that nerve channel, it doesn't have the same.
But if our heart rate as a woman is going up already, and then we curse, are we doing more damage then?
You're not doing
in that moment of just getting emotionally high?
You got to remember, this is a fight-flight mechanism, right? So we're going to really get ready for almost like battle, and that type of fight-flight, it's a protective mechanism. It's very innate. Our body wants to protect itself. So these fight-flights helps us really get ready for it. Protective mechanism, and then we can go back to our autonomic, our restful components.
Okay, now what happens if, you know, you hear about people, I know people who actually can't control themselves. They start swearing no matter what, whether they're got their hand in the cold water or whether they're just whatever. Can it become progressive so that you're almost addicted to swearing, or you can't control yourself anymore?
You know, and we talked about this earlier. If you swear too much, it doesn't have the same effect. The study was also showing that you can only do this for a short period of time. Then you become actually numb to it. And it doesn't have the same validity as especially just a short...
So you need to be choosy with your cuss words, so they'll have that effect on, say, the person.
I do like that idea. So, you know, and what I do like about it tells people cursing's good, because we realize like hitting's not a really good idea. And these are aggressions. So People need those words sometimes.
We've got to put Greta on the spot here. Greta, you don't cuss at all.
Well, when I do,
I've heard you in that newsroom.
I'm embarrassed and I'm ashamed, and I don't think it's good, and I don't want to hear my kids cussing.
But hopefully you're not hitting.
No, I don't hit, but it's like the
That's
lesser
a
of
whole
two
other-
evils. I don't think it's. There's got to be a better way than yelling out offensive words that other people have to hear. I don't think that's.
Well, as practitioners, we try to tell people to come into the office. We'll deal with your pain.
He wants you to come in. He wants to monitor you.
We do acupuncture, and there's a lot of holistic ways to really help people with pain, especially when the pain becomes much more long-standing and chronic.
Are there different kinds of cuss words that work with different kind of pains, like physical versus stress versus whatever?
The study was really just based upon the people choosing the words they liked. So
whatever works.
It worked for you.
There's an array. You're the one you said before that I never heard. I guess that's yours. I have my.
That's not a swear word. That's what my point. If you could just take something that's just innocuous, and I think in other cultures they use different words. Than I heard something about that.
And that's what I know. Again, they've been doing this for thousands of years, so it's nothing new. People have been cursing, and it's an aggression component.
And it's a learned way of dealing things. I mean, if you hear your parents doing it, you're a young kid, you're going to pick it up.
So these aggression outlets are really tied. So we use it, very primitively. So this aggression, this outlet, it helps us get our blood pressure going, and again, that fight-flight mechanism.
So now I know when Greta's going to be mad in the newsroom.
I'm getting a headache. I can feel it coming on.
Oh, Poppy.
Pull off my microphone right now. That's very interesting. So kind of final words. That is this pain thing is continuing to advance now. Are there other studies along these lines, or just?
No, we're constantly learning a lot about the brain, how the brain perceives pain. We're dealing with synapses. We're dealing with neurotransmitters. This is the central nervous system, so we're continuing understanding and learning more about it. These studies help in that sense. So when we do treatments, we have a much better understanding about pain. MRIs today, technologies, giving us a much better idea of brain mapping, which is really kind of cool.
It's all so interesting, all connected.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us today. Okay.
Up next on the show,
what women need to watch out for when it comes to social networking sites. An expert breaks down the do's and don'ts of these business tools.
And tell us what you think of what we're up to today. There's our email, letstalklive@news8.net. Send us an email. We'll be right back.